Welcome to the Missing Ingredient Podcast with CJ Bruce, where food and beverage founders, operators, and experts share the real strategies behind building successful brands. Let's jump into today's show.
Hey, I'm CJ Bruce, and welcome to the show. This is the podcast for founders and leaders of high-impact food and beverage brands who are serious about scaling. Each episode, I sit down with the people who power the food and beverage industry, brand operators, agencies, vendors, creators, and retailers, to uncomplicate the strategies that take brands from early traction to serious scale. This episode is sponsored by The Missing Ingredient, a food and beverage marketing agency with over a decade in the industry. We take a different approach, starting with your business goals, looking at the full picture, and building a marketing strategy that actually ties back to growth. From content performance marketing to influencer partnerships and AI-powered workflows, we're an extension of your team, not just another vendor. Learn more at themissingingredient.com. Now, before I introduce today's guest, I need to give a big thank you to Casey Harshman, who originally introduced us. You can check out Casey's website at fruition.com. That's Frooishen. He specializes in building brands.
Woo!
All right, now for today's guest. Brandie Miller is the co-founder of Mochi Love and a 17-year CPG veteran whose career has been built on spotting food trends with staying power and turning them into retail success stories. A supermarket news disruptor, progressive grocer, top woman in grocery rising star, Nexty judge, and former natural foods merchandiser cover feature, she's known for challenging convention and bringing products to market that consumers didn't even know they were missing. She co-founded Mochi Love alongside her husband, Will, a secret Olympian, 3D printing Excel wizard, and the where there's a will, there's a way operator behind the scenes. Welcome to the show, Brandie and Will.
Great to be here.
Hi. It's just always funny to hear someone else talk about us.
So much to talk about here. There's so many,
so much to unpack.
Yeah, lots to unpack. So let's start unpacking. So I think, Brandie, we'll start with you. You've got, 17 years, like I mentioned, in the industry. You're a grocery outlet, Misfits Market. So just, could you tell us a little bit about, your background and kind of like what that leads to, to starting your own brand?
Yeah, I think the food industry is amazing. It's always changing. It's so much fun. And having watched it evolve over the years has been really fulfilling and cool. But really, I have a passion for giving people something they didn't know they wanted. So creating assortments at store level was really fun. And kind of optimizing it to meet customer needs has always been my goal. And working with small brands, so after Misfits, I also did some consulting for brands. And I always feel like the relationship is somewhat one, a retailer isn't successful without great brands, and brands aren't successful without great retailers. And treating our relationship like partners has always been something I value, no matter which side of the business I've been on, and taking a lot of those learnings from those years and pouring it into a brand we love and we care about a lot has been a journey for us that I'm just thrilled about and thankful for. So, yeah.
Love it. Awesome. And Will, you have a different background. So it's helped scale multiple companies, former Olympic rower, deep into AI and the tech side. And so tell us a little bit about, that transition, and then I guess bringing it together, like how the two of you decided to launch Mochi Love.
Yeah. My background is definitely different. I studied like civil engineering in college, bridges and things, and then got done and pursued rowing and did that through my 20s. And then that went back into the business world and was involved in tech and things. And then I think we were both kind of happy to be at a crossroads in our careers. And I was maybe a little bit burnt out on the tech world and looking for something new. And I was just always secretly envious of Brandie when we get to go to social situations and she gets to talk about food all the time. And this idea came up, and Brandie had been, experimenting in the space and thinking about it. And we just decided to dive in together. So it's been a fun journey since.
Yeah.
That's great. That's very cool. Now I'm curious, I guess, taking some backgrounds into today. So could you talk a little bit about how, the two of you like bring that background and those skill sets into the day-to-day work at Mochi Love?
He does all the things I'm really bad at, so a lot. Operations, finance, accounting. Yeah, yeah.
Just, I don't know. There's when you put a force to be reckoned with, there's a lot of, which is Brandie. Like I just fill in the gaps around it. So whatever that needs to be.
I cause a little chaos, and you bring the kind of organization and the business acumen to it.
It's been a fun learning process for us too, just being partners and parents and now coworkers. It's interesting. And I think we've had this conversation a lot just from we sit down at a dinner table, and sometimes these conversations around what's going on in the food with our business world come up around the dinner table, and our kids are there. And I think that we're both kind of happy that we're exposing them to that side of the world a little bit. Our kids are soon to be 7 this week and 9. So it's like, then they ask questions and want to know like what we're talking about and things like that. So I think it's kind of fun kind of bringing it into the home environment. But yeah, it's been cool.
The kids always want to be involved, and they have opinions, and I don't know. I think if that's all we get out of it, it's pretty cool. Yeah.
That is very cool. No, I think it's super cool. And I think that's one of those things with food too, where it's like everyone, like kind of you were saying, can experience the food and knows what it is, and then has opinions, and that exposure is really cool. Okay, so we start a little bit about the business side, but for people who don't know, can you tell us what Mochi Love actually is?
Yeah.
What's the product?
So our current item is a little 2-pack of fresh mochi, and what's revolutionary about it is it's not ice cream. So we all know how amazing ice cream mochi is, and our goal is to get mochi in more places by being creative and reinventing what people know as mochi. So this first item is merchandised in the fridge, and it's merchandised next to sushi, and it's a grab and go little delicacy. So mochi is simply rice flour, and what's so cool about it is it's you can do anything with it. It's squishy, sweet, savory, umami. It's like a flour or a base that you can really do anything with. It's an amazing ingredient, hence the name of the company. There's a lot of love for mochi here. It's a pretty cool ingredient. And then this summer, we are working and hoping to launch this summer a shelf-stable version, so we can get more mochi in more places in the store, bring it to center store as more of a snack item. So, yeah.
Awesome. Great. And what, just a little bit about like what flavors are there on the current product, and maybe a little bit about how you decided on those flavors.
Yeah. So our current products, we call them the creme clouds, just because they were so soft and pillowy and cloud-like. We wanted to incorporate that into the name. But we have a mango passion fruit, we have raspberry lychee, chocolate coconut,
Our favorite,
and a chocolate ganache.
Yeah.
Well. So we have the four SKUs there, and they're all delicious. It's really fun to sample them, especially when you're kind of go like at a trade show and you're there all day kind of thing. Like in the morning, it's usually the citruses, and then like right after lunch, people want the chocolate and things like that. So it was fun to see. It's a little bit of all the different flavor profiles out there.
And then our shelf-stable product, I think we have 2 flavors we're super stoked on, is key lime pie and strawberries and cream, and they're so freaking good. What's cool about them is there's lots of difference in textures and flavors when you bite into them, so it's definitely an experience. Yeah.
Exciting tease.
Yes.
I love the mochi opportunities throughout the day.
Yes.
That's great. So going back, Brandie, your background. So now you're on the other side of things. So how has that been? Going, and are there anything that you've experienced? And thinking about when you were on the buyer side, and now you're trying to pitch, and sell products, and how has that shifted your perspective, or what's that experience been like?
So my very first job in food was actually on the sales and marketing side for a small ice cream company. So right out of college, I did a couple startups, and one of those startups was a food, like an ice cream company. And I'll just say, since then, the food industry has changed so much. It's harder to compare the same or similar role, but that many years apart. But having been on the assortment side, I think what's interesting is all the things that like I really cared about are things that I still really care about that like I try to push forward. Like I try to make it really important brand blocking, that you can see the item from far away, that the flavors resonate with consumers of the trends that's happening, that it's really high quality for repeat. Like all the things that like I cared about as a buyer, I want to try really hard that we can execute that really well. But yeah, it just, I feel like the industry changes so much that like you can't apply the same logic 10 years ago that you can today, because it's just a different kind of world or landscape. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I think you just touched on a few things that are really, really great there. And I think that if you're thinking about, for other brands listening that are, trying to grow and trying to sell into retail, like maybe you could touch on that a little bit more, and just like, what are some of those kind of key things that you're thinking about, that you have in mind for the brand and as you're having these conversations?
There's the brand, right? And it has to look and resonate with what's happening within that specific category, right? So had we been within a completely different category, we might have chosen to go a different route with branding or colors or all of that. So knowing where you're playing, and is that the category that you feel is a long-term win? And what's after this? Like you have this item that you're going to go really deep on and really hard on, but like, does the brand have hierarchy? Can it scale beyond today? And being open to being able to scale beyond today, because the item you create today could be something that evolves into something else that's a lot more successful. So I think being open to kind of those realities within the grocery store and how consumers shop.
Yeah, that's great. I think those are really good insights. Interesting. Yeah, interesting to think about.
Yeah.
So I want to talk a little bit about how, where the product's made, how the product's made. And so crafted in France. And there's, a lot of logistics and things going on in this. So curious if you could touch a little bit about, how do you make that work? And obviously there's got to be these trade-offs between, quality and costs and all of that. So I'd just love to, hear from both of you on, how do you think about that? And, what are maybe some challenges you've had and overcome in that?
Yeah, I mean, when we kind of started kind of going down this path and exploring different like options around manufacturing and R&D and things like that, we knew it was going to be a challenge because mochi is incredibly versatile. It's an amazing product, but it's got some sensitivities and it needs a very specific production especially when you're shipping and supply chain. And we looked in traditional places. We looked domestically to produce domestically. We looked at Asia, where you'd expect to produce a lot of mochi. And we eventually settled on France because for kind of a number of reasons. Like number one is we were able to source incredible ingredients. I think that's a big thing that separates us, is that we really strive to be as high quality ingredients as we can in the mochi, and that we think that's a differentiator. And I mean, honestly, it was also a little bit of a different landscape when we started going down this path. The world has changed a lot. But despite like kind of all the curveballs that got thrown in our direction after kind of making that decision, we still think it's the right call. And we still would have made the same call back when we were going through it, just because it's just been working with our French team. It's been amazing.
Yeah.
And it's just that the product, I think the quality of the product speaks for itself with what we're able to produce and then import from France.
Yeah. And it's kind of a serendipitous thing. Our plant isn't very far from some family that we have in France. So it's nice. Yeah.
Always nice. Not a bad place to visit either. Nice. Cool. I want to go shift gears and talk a little bit about, the growth of the brand and how it's kind of evolved. And so could you talk maybe first, talk a little bit about like the founding story and coming up with, the idea of the brand and the product. Can you talk about, you got it into some stores, right, in retail in the Bay Area. And what was that moment where it then kind of, started to pick up or got shared more or known more widely? And what did that look like?
I feel like this question relates to your last question a bit. It's where are you going to play? Like, where is the item going to merchandise. And I think going into this, we had to make a series of assumptions on like where we think it'll sell best. And even having some experience and asking, people in the industry, we learned a lot. We tested merchandising it next to grab-and-go foods, tested it in the bakery department. We tested it next to sushi. Those were our three. We tested at coffee shops in like a dessert area. And by far the best movement and now the best use of our time has been focusing on sushi sets. So merchandising the product next to sushi. And what's cool about that is we've been able to kind of avoid traditional distribution that can be really complicated and costly for new brands. And we have a captive audience. You have a customer who's looking into the case for lunch. They are there to make a purchase. It's going to be sushi, and they're going to buy a sushi, and they have one option, a dessert next to it in 4 different flavors, hopefully. And so it's really cool to have one be the only branded item in a sushi set, and then 2 be the only dessert. Has proven to sell really well there. So, and it's incremental to the category. So from the buyer perspective, like it's a no-brainer to have this item in there. It takes up a little bit of space, but yet the basket grows by $3 to $4, $5 in one transaction. Yeah.
And I think something maybe you skipped over there, but I think it's worth touching on is that some people don't know, not everybody knows, is that in the grocery store, a lot of times the sushi set is independently operated. So it's like a third party that is owns the case, is hiring the person working behind the counter and stuff. So you're really kind of working on like a back channel into the grocery store that is, it's had some challenges, but it's also like a very interesting kind of unique path to get into the grocery store for us.
Yeah, that is really interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I'm curious, as you've been working on the brand and growing the brand, like, are there any mistakes that you've made?
Frozen supply chain. Like I sold ice cream. Like I know it's hard and like really didn't want to do a frozen item and went back and forth, but like just having the kind of thoroughness and very careful about who you pick to transport your mochis.
And it's a fresh product. It needs to be stored and controlled in a very specific temperature requirements when it's frozen, and then it gets slapped out at the grocery store, and then as it's a fresh product, so it has a shorter expiration date once it gets slacked out. So this has been a lot of learnings there on what works and what doesn't work, and when you need to verify things at the grocery store level or supply chain level and things like that, because you want to be giving people the highest quality product that you can. And there's a lot of it changes hands a lot throughout the whole process.
There's another learning. So every retailer, distributor, and there's thousands, of instances and people touching the product. That supply chain has to be efficient for operators at the store. So like you can't just expect someone who manages the frozen department to walk over and grab something from a different department. Like everything has to flow through that same system. And so you can't really travel upstream or create a new system. You have to kind of fit into a standard kind of operating procedure that already exists. And when you can do that, then you can replicate it. And then it becomes a scalable business.
Interesting. You're good. I'm curious. Yeah, Will, I got a question for you on the technology side. So it's you've got experience in tech. I know we've nerded out about the joy of vibe coding, but I'm curious. How are you bringing that that background and the kind of AI piece into the business?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of testing that goes into everything. Just seeing like where is it going to kind of alleviate some pain points that you're just be doing something manually. And then where is it kind of, really providing lift, or where is it kind of just taking too much management to really provide that lift? I think it's a fast changing world. I think one of the things that we want to continue to pursue is like being authentic about everything. So it's like finding the right place to kind of implement some AI. We've been building and continuing to build our own inventory management tools, kind of like some of the more operational pieces of the business, forecasting, cash flow stuff, all through basically utilizing AI to help build those tools. And it's been like an interesting process, just as it continues to evolve. But yeah, it's like figuring out kind of where can you take some operational pieces that you might kind of be dreading doing, and where can you start leveraging AI to start helping you manage those tasks more efficiently. There's lots of different places it touches on the business.
Yeah, it's interesting. And have you talked to any other brands about that? You have a sense on kind of like, is that a common thing that's happening? Are people exploring it a little bit? Is everyone kind of doing it in their own different ways right now?
Yeah, I mean, like just kind of anecdotally talking to, like, I think everybody's kind of, it's like the Wild West. Everybody's kind of figuring out where it can fit into their workflow. Some people, it's email marketing for some people, and some it's like responding to different customers and things like that. We haven't really implemented too much in that front yet. We just really want to be on the front lines there and in connecting. But I think that everybody's kind of figuring out exactly how do they do it. I think everybody's using it to some degree. I don't think there's anybody in this world that doesn't use AI to some degree. It's whether or not they know it or not.
Yeah.
It's just how ingrained in their workflow do they want to.
Yeah, interesting. Cool. I want to talk about kind of how it started, where it is. Want to take a minute to talk about the future, and so like where do you see Mochi Love going and growing, and what I mean, there's the immediate what's coming up. You mentioned the shelf stable launch targeting this summer. Beyond that, do you have? And I mean, you said this earlier, Brandie. You got to be flexible, and things can change and evolve and be dynamic. So acknowledging that, and then what Will just said about AI being everywhere and that also changing fast, but how do you see the brand growing and evolving in the future?
I think the kind of arching theme is just to work towards being an iconic brand that everyone thinks of when they want a snack, and taking it one day at a time. But yeah, I mean, we have this short-term D2C launch with the shelf stable is really exciting. I think, it'll be great to like really connect with a lot of customers, in real life about the product by going online direct to them. So, short term, really excited about that. And then long term, just building a brand. Yeah.
That's great. Great answer. Cool. Okay. I want to shift into just like some broader questions. So I'm curious, y'all are in the food and beverage space and connecting with, other brands and founders as well. And I'm curious if there are any, other brands that you think are doing great work out there that are interesting that you want to give a shout out to. Oh, okay. I wish we could have samples. Is this a tasting opportunity?
Okay. Do you want to start? How about we start savory to sweet?
I love it.
Okay. First up, Paro. Chips. They're lentil chips, and we've all had lentil chips. These have seasoning on them that are yum.
Nice.
Super good. Barbecue tikka is my favorite. Will ate the whole bag and didn't share it with me, so we're going to talk about that later. Next up, Mama Teeves. This one's the hot one, though. I'll be honest, it's a little too hot for me. But this is a chili. It's chili paste garlic, though. Really crunchy, super yummy. I think we eat one every 2 months. And it's a pretty big jar. It can go on everything from rice, eggs. We do bowls. You can put on anything. I don't know. This one's really good, too.
Love
and
it.
then
I've actually had that one.
You have? Okay.
Yeah, it's great. Great.
It's very good. It also comes in a bigger jar, which I need to upgrade. So I just and then Lexington Bakes are my favorite brownie cookie. Now he has bars that are breakfast and protein. But I'm old school. I go with the brownie or the blondie. So
yeah. All right.
Yeah.
Officially hungry.
Yeah.
I love it. the first time I've asked that question, someone's had samples like ready to show, and like here's on display. I love it. Appreciate.
I love grocery shopping for new brand. But then I also know these founders. So like, it's like, your friend who's in the same industry creating like amazing food. You're like, I like you. Yeah.
That's great. I want to, before we shift into kind of last question here in a moment, but I'm curious just on that point, you talk a little bit about, the community around food and the other founders you're connecting with, and just, maybe how for people in the space or not, like how is that happening? Where are you connecting with people, and what is that community like, of that shared like founder experience?
You're new to the community relatively, and
Yeah, I mean, I've been floored at how welcoming everybody is and how willing to share. And it almost feels like, I think in a different space, you would kind of look at other people trying to get into the same market as like competitors, but it doesn't feel like that. I think there's enough just natural challenges being in the food space that everybody looks at it as like we're all in this together, trying to figure out how to navigate this world. And it's been honestly amazing from my perspective just to see how willing people are to help you out and to answer questions. And it's like there's a lot to learn in this space. I did not realize, even I was like looking at the surface level of like this ocean of information, like even stuff just how important like it is to be just like hyper on your margins, and so like on distribution and supply chain stuff, manufacturing stuff. There's just so much to learn. And I think that, people are always willing to share their learnings with you. It's changing all the time. So learning from other people, I think it's been amazing working. And you could have experienced a lot when you were consulting with brands. Like you have a lot of people coming into the space that don't have any background in this space. And they're like, I've been working on this salsa, whatever it is, kind of thing. And they're getting into the space. And it's like, I think it's been really interesting hearing you work with these brands on teaching them all these different parts of the industry that are really important to have a successful brand.
Yeah. And there's resources out there like Startup CPG. Shout out to Daniel and the team. They have like put together like a community, not only a community, but a database of information you can access on all topics CPG. And incredible what he's built and how popular it's become. It's pretty cool. So sign up for Slack.
And there's like actually NorCal and your TIG group that you work with, and then there's so many different
the Naturally Network,
groups that you can get involved with that have just tons of resources, and like they're communities around helping you learn and navigate. And you need somebody that's a specialist in this one particular area, like they'll find you somebody that can help you with that.
It's like the tech opposite world, kind of. Yeah.
And just everybody sharing versus keeping everything kind of close to the vest.
Yeah, and like I think there's a culture around like everyone. Let's raise everybody. Let's like succeed together.
I think there's some authenticity here that's like really refreshing.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I love it. Okay, so I've got one last question, but before I ask that, I want to point people to the website, which is mochilove.co. And is there anywhere else that y'all would recommend we point people to learn more about Mochi Love and stay connected?
The grams, of course.
Instagram. Follow on Instagram. Eat Mochi Love.
Eat Mochi Love. Yep, on Instagram.
Yeah.
And then we're
grocery stores. Buy Mochi.
Buy Mochi. So yeah, where can people buy the products today?
Mostly HEB. HEB has been an incredible partner. That's our biggest customer, and we're doing a combo loco this week. So buy a sushi, get a mochi free.
People may have missed out by the time this is released. Just full disclosure. So don't complain to HEB if the promo isn't live.
True.
Awesome. And there's the full store locator on the website too, if you want to find see if Mochi Love is available near you. So check that out. Okay, so the last question I had, and I'm curious, given your different backgrounds and now you've been working together for a while, I'm curious what's a piece of advice that you would give the other one now that you're in it? So like Brandie, you've been in it for a long time in CPG world, obviously. Is there something that you feel like Will still, doesn't quite get or isn't quite on board with in that world? And vice versa, Will to Brandie, if there's something coming from kind of the tech, operations like that, the kind of finance, pieces that you would give to each other?
Yeah. Yeah, I think they were pretty giving of our advice. So I don't know if there's any advice that I would give her right now that I haven't given her before, but I think
Or maybe that you have given. Yeah.
maybe the way they answer that is how we've kind of figured out like our own kind of operating models and how there's like a natural push and a pull. I think that I am a little bit more on the lines of like, let's stop, let's figure it out, figure out the strategy, let's make sure we are verifying our assumptions, let's kind of slow down our rollout here. And I think that you are very much biased towards action and let's get things going and we'll learn it as we go. And I think that we kind of are constantly figuring out where to balance that out with each other. And I don't think it's something I want to correct in you because I think that I need that version of you. And I think to some degree you need the version of me. But I think that maybe something I have learned that I probably should have learned coming from my background is that it's like okay to just get out there and start trying stuff and figuring out what works because you're not going to be able to predict your velocities, you're not going to be able to predict whatever the problems are you're going to see, but like just getting into the store and doing that, I think it's been less of a pain that I anticipated when you just putting it out there and just learning as you go, and so I think that's maybe advice for myself, my previous self, than it would be more advice for Brandie at this point.
Yeah. And to add on to that is I immediately went to things I want to remind myself, but then of course, like remind you because we're in this together is like patience. Like it takes time to like get the next account. It takes time to build the brand. It takes time to like put all the pieces together because we are trying new things and we are like building something completely new. So yeah, I agree. It's true.
It just takes a long time. Like everything takes
Longer than you expect. Like that buyer isn't responding.
Yeah.
It takes time.
Everyone's busy.
Everyone's busy. We're all doing stuff. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's awesome. Awesome. All right. So we've been talking to Brandie and Will Miller, co-founders of Mochi Love. Be sure to check them out at mochilove.co. Check out the store locator, go to HEB, try some product. Also follow the brand on Instagram at Eat Mochi Love. Brandie and Will, thanks so much for being on the show.
All right, awesome. Thank you, CJ.
Thanks, CJ.
Thanks for listening to the Missing Ingredient podcast. We'll see you again next time, and be sure to click subscribe to get future episodes.